recording. It's recording. We're up. Problem is, there we go. Look, there's me making funny faces. Right, we're up. We're live and we're broadcasting stuff. Hello. We're in two places at once. We're on the old Facebook and we're on the YouTube. YouTube.
YouTube.
YouTube. And we're having a practice. See if these two things work. See if it splits it. It is. I can see it in two places. It's mad that. I'm on my telly, on my phone. It's great stuff. Today, we've got a couple of bits. Talk about Mark's journeys because he's been out and about again. More than me, which is, the norm. Delivering some training and coaching and bits. And some enlightenment. Aye. I've got some dad jokes, bad jokes, a couple of filthy ones for later on. For Ron. And got some juice because it's a bit warm. It's a bit warm for tea. It's a bit warm. It's stuffy in here. Don't want the windows open because there might be spiders. So Mark, I have got horse chestnuts though. I've got some horse chestnuts, the conkers on the windowsill to stop the spiders. But I don't know if it's an old wives' tale or whether it works.
To be fair, Anita does that all the time, and she swears by it. And I have to say, on the evidence, it must be. We had spiders, and then suddenly they're nowhere to be found when you stick your conkers on the floor.
Yeah. Ooh. Although I've got them on the windowsill, but they could climb in at the top, and go along the ceiling. So there's. Yep. What I need to do is hang them in front of the window. Maybe there's some sort of range of effect.
But if you've got the window open and you don't want to be worried about spiders, you just want to be worried about the burglars that come in, try and rape you.
What? That's a bit harsh, isn't it? It's a bit harsh. 5:15.
All right, it's not the 9 o'clock watershed, is it?
It's not. It's not. Mind you, when I read some of these jokes out, it might sound like it.
Yeah.
Some of them are. Some of them are a bit feisty. A little bit feisty.
I know.
So you've been up to? What have you been up to? You've been out delivering stuff. I know you've been out checking out some of the stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to know how that landed.
It was good. So I was delivering the stuff to a leadership group yesterday in London, and the subject was communication, impact, and influence. And we tend to keep it really sort of good exercise based, like out the class, talking or doing something a little bit fun, not just sitting there preaching on the screen. So things like, so we went through the basic stuff of types of communication, that only 7% of communication is verbal, and get them to sort of think of good examples of, written communication, or listening communication, and also bad elements of it. But then we did a fun one, which forces you to listen really empathically, and it was called 3 Little Words. So what they do is they have a conversation. You cannot speak for more than 15 seconds, and if you can repeat the last 3 words that they said, you get points. If you repeat the second last word they said, you get more points. If you repeat them, and so on. If you hesitate, you lost points. If you didn't put it in context, you lost points. So you had seen this conversation where people were really focused on when the sentence was going to finish, and then trying to come in and say the last 3 words. It was really competitive.
So was that the goal? That you're actually getting people to properly listen, remember the context, make sure they catch what is actually the end of the sentence without realising. You're basically making them all listen to each other very intently.
Intently is what I was trying to get to do.
Huh?
Did you like what I did there? I took one of your last 3 words.
Ah, clever.
Yeah.
See what you did there.
And what it actually does, what they proved was the sort of exercise that I sort of took it from is they did a test with some waiters in a restaurant. Now the waiters who just took your menu wishes, then just went straight off to the kitchen and handed it over, got about 10% in terms of tips. But the waiters who stood there reread it back to you, and got confirmation from you, they got 34% tips. So that confirmation of me repeating the
Yeah.
words that you've used in the way you want it, creates this rapport that you can't underestimate.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes the customer, because me, Stu has worked in this in F&B, the food and beverage for, in hospitality for, I don't know how long now. It's been decades. And whenever he goes out, he always sits with his back to the window, facing out to the restaurant, so he can watch what's going on. He always pays attention to what the waiting staff are doing, and he's always like, "Well, look, if he or she reads it back to me, one, I know they've written it down right. Two, I know they've listened. Three, I know that they care what's going on in my head. And four, the customer cracks on with that conversation and just leaves the food to come. All the worries have gone, all the thoughts, second thought, all of that's gone. You can just go, you definitely got me order, definitely got it right. That's definitely coming." Especially when they read back, and you wanted that medium rare? Yeah. And you wanted it with this instead of that? Yeah. Right? And then they wander off, and then that's the transaction's completely ended. He's always pointing that stuff out, but he's right.
Yeah.
When you feel the difference when they just right, and then walk off. You're like, well, I don't know what they wrote down. Did they write it down right? I didn't miss anything off. And then at the end, you feel like you've had a better service because they've just took that little bit extra time. And I don't mind chucking in an extra tip, because I think, you know what, I want to promote that sort of behaviour.
Yeah.
So it's like positive reinforcement, isn't it?
It is. I remember when we went to Carl's Stag Do a few weeks ago in Newcastle City Centre, and the girl that took what order, there was like 15 of them. And so obviously, it was sort of like a set menu, but there was about 3 options on starters, 4 options on main, and she got us to put our hands up. Who ordered this? And we'll put our hands up. And who ordered the steak and wanted a medium rare? And we'll put my hands up. And it was just that interaction. And we did leave her a good tip at the end, to the point where she took 340 at Nottingham.
Tip, big tip.
Yeah, and actually, this is the bizarre
I do
thing.
say so.
She turned up at one of the bars that we're in later on, and so yeah, I think she was wanted a bit more than the tip, but yeah, but yeah, it was good. The one we did after that was something I've really struggled with most of my career, was actually that introduction. Hello, Simon. How are you? Nice to meet you for the first time. You walk away, and within 20 seconds, you can't remember the name.
Oh, I'm an absolute bugger for that. Nouns, I'm rubbish.
Right.
Absolutely rubbish with nouns, or proper nouns.
That
I
was
bother remembering the names of things as well. It's like my brain goes, you're probably never going to meet them again, so what's the point of remembering it? I don't get a choice. It just goes, nah.
Yeah.
It was useful at the time. Don't need it now, though. But if I happen to meet them again, I'm like, stuck. Oh, what was it? Did it begin with S? No, turns out it was Darren. Oh.
It was interesting, because I asked them. I said, "Why do we forget?" And they all agreed, because in my mind it's about me. It's about how I introduce myself. I must make sure I get, especially when they're trying. It's a new client. They're trying to get money out of them. It's very much about how they come across, what they're trying to do. So they're not paying any attention to the client.
Because the goal is on meeting the person, striking the rapport, getting to the meaty bit that they're actually there for. So they're already thinking ahead rather than being in the moment.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
So we played with. I played with them with, because I've practiced it the last couple of years. So you meet somebody, you hear the name, and you create a visual association through. And I used famous people. So one of the examples I used yesterday was the guy was called Simon. So I just put a picture of a random guy underneath. He's called Simon, and I introduced, and I said, "That's Sly Stallone from Rambo." Boom, boom. There's bombs going off all around him. Hi, Sly. How are you doing? And now that's Sly Stallone, and so we practiced that. And like what they did, I'd give them 10 faces and their names, and I give them 30 seconds to memorize them, and they got about 5 or 6. Then I allowed them 10 pictures, which were closely associated. So Si was a Simon. I had a guy called Dwayne, and The Rock was there. So you could pin an association. And they got like, one of the girls got 10, and the others got sort of 7 and 8. So they improved from 4 to 5 to 7 and 8. So it wasn't, it wasn't 100% success, but what it did do by creating that association with somebody famous was you were starting to lock it in, from the very beginning. High
You've created a
side.
mnemonic. You've
Yeah,
created
I
a
don't know
mnemonic
what. Yeah,
device to remember.
yeah,
The same way that a memory palace works, you create lots of mnemonics that lead you to. Because that's how your memory works, through association and attachment. So if you can create an
yeah,
attachment to the thing that you're going to remember, and that it has a trigger, that's brilliant.
yeah. I like that one as well. I've tried that a couple of times and then let it go. But where you walk into a room and you look left and you see a painting, and you look right and you see, and you're just building
That's
up
the
this.
memory. That's the memory palace. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a popular technique. Yeah,
yeah. I like that.
Darren Brown does that.
We did in the afternoon. We did colour me profiles, more about getting to know your team. And I use me and you as a good example on that one about how, sort of the yellows and greens can work well with the blues and reds, just by getting to know them. And what I did was in the hotel the night before, the 7 candidates, I wrote down what I thought they were in terms of colour profiles, and I was pretty close.
Ooh,
Especially I've got one that is a true blue like you.
ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And and there was no surprises there, you know. And then I did knowing your chimp. So from the chimp paradox, where unfortunately in many situations our chimp, which is the emotional side of us, reacts first, and then we put in the logic, which is the human, and then we do the action. So I was teaching them about trying to come from a logical format first, then associating true emotion after you've gone through the logic, which sort of desensitizes it, and then create the action from that. So we're doing like situations that it had in the past, and then finally we did the Johari window. So they give
I love that one.
five adjectives to describe themselves. So this the Johari window, which is known to both of us. You know about me, but I don't know about me. I know, but you don't know about me. And then blind to both of us is the quadrant. And they had to do 5 adjectives to describe themselves, and then each of the other candidates describe them in adjectives, and then it gets sent to them as a way of sort of. And we said we shouldn't be just blowing smoke up their ass all the time. There should be something constructive in there. And I use you again. I used you again in that one where I was like, he's talked to me about my issues with time, and then we've been working on other stuff on my dyslexia about using different strategies. So the fact that you're sharing what could be perceived as a negative turns into a growth spurt.
Yeah, when it's delivered the right way, received the right way,
Yeah,
when it's not just you keep doing it's just like, have you noticed and especially if it's something that can be, fixed or worked on or studied or understood, or at least the person has room to say, well, look, I do that cause blah blah blah, and that might not change. But you cannot give someone constructive criticism about their hair color, right? Unless they've changed it.
yeah. Have you
You can't
done?
say, oh, you
Have you?
shouldn't be a blonde, or
We
that
did
they've got
the.
too many teeth.
Yeah. Have you ever done the watch the video where they're passing the basketball, and then in the middle of the video the gorilla walks through the screen? So it's a very famous video, which what you do is you ask the group to focus and count the number of passes that the white team do. I think there's a white and a red
Isn't that
team.
what Darren Brown does when he's talking to you, and and at the end he went, right, how many of you saw the gorilla holding a banana at the side of the curtain there? Ooh, what do you mean? And then he plays it back on the video going, look, there he was. There he
Yeah.
was. None of you saw it. Is it that sort of thing? Like
It
an attention
it
and
is, and the way I used it in that session yesterday was like, in terms of communication, a lot of these guys are in big meeting rooms scoping exercises because they're selling a warehouse management product. Now, if you're so fixated on one of the people in there, you're not reading the rest of the room, and you're not seeing that. You know, I gave an example of you last week. And I don't know if you picked up on it, and you didn't correct me. But I started to describe the ideal team player by Patrick Laconi and the three hungry, humble, smart. And as I was talking about it and saying we used it for you in your interview, you did a micro movement, and I realised it was wrong. We never used it for you; it was somebody else. But I
Yeah, because there was
recognised your
two.
micro movement, and I watched the video back while I was away this week, and I saw that I stopped or sort of hesitated, realised in my head that from your micro movement I was wrong, and then I started moving the narrative a little bit,
Yeah,
and
sometimes I don't feel the need to put you right because I think he's going to know. It just happens. Sometimes I know I didn't need to speak up then and go, hold on a minute. Because you paused almost
yeah.
straight off. I was like, no, it was you and Darren. There wasn't three of you.
And what I was getting across to the group was when you're so fixated on one person in the meeting or whatever, you don't recognize the other things going on in the room, the micro movements, the gestures when you say something, right, I'm going to do this in your warehouse, and somebody doesn't agree and they start shuffling in the seat. You have to open your peripheral vision, and you
It's
have to,
true.
yeah,
I mean, can you imagine not? Why didn't we get that contract?
yeah,
And what you did notice is one of the guys who, if you'd watched, is the guy that they kept sort of turning their head to when they were saying something to see if they approved of what they just said. He didn't like you, and because he didn't, the rest of them they couldn't like you either, even though they did. But because he's the one that they all trust, and he went no, then they all have to give a no. But you wouldn't have spotted that, right? I've
yeah,
seen that happen. Seen that
yeah,
happen.
and
I always do that in interviews. Make sure I'm trying to look across at both of them, saying, "Was he all right with that? Was he all right with it?" Because at the end of, especially when you've done interviews yourself, conducted them, you know that they're going to walk out the room and have that sort of after interview sort of breakdown of, right, what did you hear? What did I hear? Did you pick up on that? Did I get that wrong? Did I misunderstand him? Did I take that the wrong way? You know that they're going to have that thing straight after. So if you're only focusing on one of them, or the one that you've struck up the most rapport with, and you've just left the other guy, you might just say, "Nah, I hate him. Nah, I hate him." If it needs a consensus, you're knackered, right? Knackered.
knackered. Speaking of knackered,
Oh, came in the post. Sure up you. Oh, look, couldn't resist.
yeah.
I'll get myself one as well.
Well, my
Sure up you.
teacher,
Already showed me, ma'am. Got a laugh.
yeah.
Yeah,
My
that's
t-shirts
you.
are off to Gay Paris on Saturday
Oh, yes. With the travelling tote bag.
with the
Or
travelling
the
tour bag.
travelling,
We're
or
off
the
to
coat bag, rather.
Paris next week. Take the
Ooh,
bag with us. A few
we'll have to
shots.
come up. We'll have to come up with some deep quotes from some French philosophy or something.
Yeah,
Go with
yeah,
it. I've still got all the other ones to put on. Of what's it? Scarfell, was it, or was it the other place?
yeah. What was the
That
one?
mountain range. That mountain range one you sent through, was it?
Chief sent me a quote that was really good. I would rather be
Snowdonia.
someone's. I would rather be someone's glass of whiskey than everybody's cup of tea.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Ooh. So you'd rather be someone's little bit of something than to appeal to everybody. Be
yeah,
someone's special someone versus being generally appealing. It's interesting
yeah.
that.
And it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because when I look at myself and my mission is to get everybody to like me, but what he's saying is his mission isn't to get everybody to like him. His mission is to be the whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah, I accepted a long time ago that many people aren't.
Yeah,
I can be an acquired taste
yeah,
sometimes. I mean, I know more about why these days, but
Oh, that reminds me. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, it's me appointment.
bloody hell, that came quick.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was next month for some reason.
No, it's tomorrow. I had to do some pre-questionnaires today.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, so
I
I
do the same.
submitted
For me,
them, and
autism.
I'm on for 3 o'clock tomorrow. So
What were the questions like for you? I mean, I know when I did my autism sessions, my autism diagnosis, I had all sorts of stuff about, you know, what were you like then versus now, versus how would you have reacted then? Is it different? Do you react differently to this now to what you did then? Have you noticed any changes since then? All
I
sorts of
don't.
questions like that.
I think it was more of these ones were more of a pre-questionnaire to make sure I wasn't going to top myself over the assessment. So it was sort of a it was sort of them getting me to sign a disclaimer to say I wasn't depressed before I took the test.
Well, surely either way is sort of a relief. Like some people might be relieved to find out they're not. Some people, like I was with my diagnosis, I felt relief when she told me
Yeah.
that I was on the autism spectrum, and it all of a sudden an explanation for so many things just came flooding in, a weight lifted, all of that. So I mean,
There
eh,
was there was there was general ones about mood and are you feeling like jumping off a cliff, but then there was a mood disorder questionnaire, and I'll just read a couple of them
mm,
out, which was have you ever been a period of time where you were not your usual self, and the question, you felt so good, so hyper that other people thought you were not yourself, you were so hyper that you got into trouble.
mm,
Yeah. You were
mm.
much more talkative or spoken faster than usual. Thoughts raced through your heads that you couldn't slow your mind down. You're so easily distracted by things around you. So that was the type of questionnaire that I had to fill in
That's
um,
interesting.
today. But yeah,
That's
and
that's
as we've sort of said, I was talking to somebody yesterday in the group in London, and I just said it's more about it's not necessarily about drugs. It could be about strategies to help, but it's more about just giving some answers, on why we're like that or why I'm like
mhm.
this or whatever. That's what it's about.
They're interesting questions. They sound a little bit like bipolar questions as well.
Well,
When you have massive highs, massive lows, and the
yeah.
massive highs, you can go off it, cause all kinds of chaos, get yourself into all sorts of trouble. You're not necessarily doing it deliberate either. You're just
I mean, I wouldn't. You can take extremes of those questions, and I
hmm
just thought, well, at sometimes I do feel like Anita. I'll be like over exuberant in the kitchen or whatever for a bit, and she'll just like, "What are you on?" And
yeah, you can be a bit of a buzzing person sometimes.
yeah, yeah,
Totally.
over the top, but. I wouldn't say I go to the pits after that. I mean, everybody has their ups and downs, but
See,
I wouldn't
that's
say I wouldn't say I
that's
go
where
to the
we
pit.
differ.
You know,
That's where we differ.
yeah,
My I think of it as a graph. Most of the time, I'm at zero.
yeah,
Right, just plodding along. I'm neither good nor bad. I'm more often below the line than above it. But my minus numbers go heavily into the minus, whereas most people might go to plus 10, minus 10.
yeah.
I can maybe just go minus 25 at worst. It can go lower. I've never really measured it, but it can go pretty crushingly low. But then I can have some of these really daft highs that might be just above 10, but not as I don't go as high as I can go low. Or at least that's the way it feels in the moment. And that,
Yeah.
but to plot it on a graph for me makes helps. It's a helpful analogy to be able to try and gauge where I'm at. I can think of it like that, and then I can use that information. Right, I'm used to working with data and coming
Mm.
with solutions. Your Ray's just commented there. It's
Yeah.
better to know than to wonder if.
Mm. Like it. Yeah. Because he's. I think he mentioned he's going for some test as well. I'll let him share it if he wants to. But I think since I've been talking to you and the show, we've as a family, we've sort of worked out there's some interesting stuff going on here. So yeah,
Well, I
even
think we both ended up getting quite a bit out of this. Like, nothing
yeah.
that we would have ever predicted, right? And not on purpose neither.
No, it's like when you spend time with somebody and you explore avenues and you talk about, we talk about a lot. Sometimes we talk about diverse subjects, but all of it's like, I love the phrase, I'm not worse off in any way for any of the conversations.
Well, Miss Ray's says missed opportunity will always come back in your mind. That look on a bus or a train. When you just think,
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I think we've benefited and perhaps demonstrated what it's like to be properly honest
You see?
about something, and then to
Yeah.
work on it, create a strategy from it, and put it out in the open and not be embarrassed about it,
Yeah.
and then to make a bit of I don't know, a journey out of it.
Yeah.
I think we've both
Is
done a bit of that since the start.
is Ray off today, is he?
I don't know. He's just been commenting in the chat there
Yeah.
and on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, he's got this special event coming up. I don't know
Oh,
whether
that was the boxing thing you're telling us about?
Yeah, I don't know if it's an opportunity if he's off, if he wants to plug it for a few minutes, and if he can link in or whatever.
You can always you can copy and paste the link.
Yeah,
If he drops the link into the chat, I'll stick it on a Facebook post later on, promote it for him. Stick it on our group. There's like 700 people following the group, right? So chuck it
Yeah.
in there. Some people are going to see it. I'll stick it in the community tab on YouTube as well. So I'll pass it about. Might be fun to have him on. When is it? When's the gig?
He started training on Monday. His actual gig is the 15th of July, which is a Saturday.
Oh,
So he's got
good
he's got
distance
8
away.
weeks training to do. I think
Is
he's
this
all,
anything
he's
like what you did?
yeah, it's the same organisation.
Ah, right.
But to be fair, Warriors, I mean, you can order what's called VIP tables. He's already sold 3 VIP tables, and they're like 500 quid a shot for the table, and then he's sponsorship on top. So he's going good guns in terms of getting the money for cancer research together. So, but yeah, it's as we say, everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face. It's an old Mike Tyson phrase.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's got a plan till. That's exactly what happened to you, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
When you stepped into the ring, you were like, right, boom, woo.
yeah,
That was hard.
yeah. I mean, it's still on YouTube. I think it's halfway through the first round. I get hit with this right hand, and I think it was Saturday, but I think I went back into Thursday.
I heard someone say that wearing those gloves makes boxing more dangerous because it doesn't hurt your hand. You're more inclined to swing with all your force because there's less danger to you. Because it seems less dangerous and you've got padding on your hand. Whereas I watched some bare knuckle boxing. I didn't realise that was on YouTube. And I don't know why YouTube recommended it. Don't know. It just popped up. I was looking through for some new live streams because I'm sick of having to flick around different channels. I just want to put something on and leave it for a bit while I'm working because I've been doing a lot of website work, right? So stumbled across this bare knuckle boxing. Now this is different. They're a little bit more hesitant. They're a little bit more strategic in their blows, like when and how often. They don't just go boo boo. There was less hugging in it.
Oh yeah,
That annoys the hell out of me. That in boxing, get off him. Just get off. Stop it. Stop it. Now you're either having a rest, or you realise that you're not winning.
yeah.
I can't think of any other reason for doing it. Oh, give him a hug. Stop it, man.
It's probably
Stop
why
it.
it's probably why UFC's become so popular, isn't it? Because it's very close to bare knuckle.
Well, I have some controversial opinions, as it turns out, about UFC.
Do you?
Because I watched it, right, thinking, ooh, he's studied 5 martial arts. Bloody hell. And then look at the other guy. Because this was in Germany, because Ben was well into it, right? So,
Oh
his
yeah,
MMA.
it was at the start of Conor McGregor, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, he was well into that stuff. He loved it, right? So,
Yeah.
and of course, Martina as well, because she was in Thailand, went to see the Thai boxing as well, didn't she?
Yeah, I went.
And she had uh, an interesting association with men and seeing them getting beat up. I was like, that's a bit. See, well, I just like seeing them, smash each other to bits. Does something for us? Oh, well, each of their own. But I mentioned an opinion I had about my perception of USC, and sometimes I can just say matter of fact things.
Yeah.
The guy on the right had some daft martial art. I was like, wow, he's disciplined. He knows some stuff. This should be interesting. Full on Steven Seagal style. That was what I was expecting. All kinds of locks and pulls and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, he's going to mince him. And the other guy's got this. Oh, he's got boxing, kickboxing, all of this. So they had like sort of 3, 4. One of them was a mix of karate and a little bit of aikidos and all these other things, jiu-jitsu on the other, and all of that. Right? I was like, ooh, now then, this should be interesting. No, what happened was they clouted each other in the face a bit, and it was basically the first person to get the other guy on the ground, sit on his chest, and punch him in the face. I was like, right, okay, I'll watch another one. Same thing. The best thing you can do is learn a bit of boxing and a bit of judo, because it all ends up on the floor, where whoever either chokes the other guy out or locks him in a place and punches him in the head enough to knock him out or to make him tap out. There's no kicking, there's no style, there's no roundhouses and kicks and all these other fancy. I was like, he's learned 90 martial arts and he used one street brawl. That was it. That's it. You could just have 2 boxers in there with a little bit of judo and it would look the same. So I told him I may have expressed it perhaps in not such a subtle way to him, and just, well, they just end up on the floor, don't they, every time, and smacking each other in the face. Oh, it didn't go down well. Even though to me it looks absolutely the truth. Because it happened in the 2, 3 fights that I watched, and I just got bored and went, oh, well, this isn't what I expected. No, there's training, there's discipline, he's done this and he's learned that, and look at the lock he had him in there. I'm like, nah. What good's karate done him? None.
Nah. I mean, what they were, they were trying to claim it was safe for the boxing because you're getting constantly pummeled in boxing, whereby in the UFC you take a hard blow and they're going to stop the fight straight away.
Yes, like Ray's just said, in bare knuckle you have more chance of breaking your hand than a face. And of course, boxing, because you're wearing a glove and you've got it strapped up on the inside, mostly takes that away, so it encourages you to hit harder, right? So in a way it's more dangerous than bare knuckle because there's less risk for the person swinging his fist than there is for the guy receiving it. So you shouldn't underestimate. It's kind of the roundabout point I was trying to make. You shouldn't underestimate how hard you're going to get hit in those charity events, right? Ray says his plan is to avoid.
Run, but you.
He's gonna sting like a bee, but mostly float like a butterfly. Do the old. Who was it that was like that? Right, and what's his face with the lisp?
Kelbrook?
No.
Nassim Hamed?
Nah.
Chris Eubank?
Chris Eubank. Yeah. Yeah. He moved around a bit.
He did.
But then once he was going to hit you, he knew about it. Good strategist, him. But he seemed because I'm not much, I'm not really into sport and that. But from what I've seen of him, he had both strategy, so boxing as a technique, fighting technique, but he was also sort of a boxer. So the difference between, like you have AJ, then you have Tyson Fury. AJ seems very much on the technical side, which is why he sort of, every now and again gets smashed in. Because he meets someone who's a true pugilist and just beats the crap out. How'd you beat me? You see him say that at the end of with that Ukrainian fella. And he said, "How'd you beat me? How are you stronger than me?" I said, well, because he is. He is. The weakness is yours. There's a difference.
Yeah.
He had a weakness rather than the other guy having a strength, and the other guy spotted it and went, "Yeah, he's a bit of a technical boxer, isn't he? I'm going to smash him in."
But when you've got to service all them muscles versus Tyson Fury's got just a few muscles, but
DMA.
it's just like
He's built though. He's built and he's a unit.
Yeah.
He's an absolute unit, isn't he? He's massive. He's a towering bloke. But I think he knows himself. I think you've got to throw that into boxing as well, haven't you? A bit of philosophy. You've got to know yourself. What you're good at, what you're not good at, because the other guy's going to spot it. Right?
Mm.
What else have you been up to? Work-wise? Delivery-wise? It's all been websites for me. Websites, non-stop. Radiator Chef.
Yeah. I was supposed to go to... I was planning my next trip. Looks like they're going to put back a little bit. So I'm just sort of reconfirming that. I was have a chat with the chief today.
Aye.
But, it's the Scarlet Pimpernel syndrome. Yeah.
Oh, is he disappearing?
Seek him there, they seek him there, they
Aye.
seek him everywhere.
He's good at that. He's probably better at that than we are. Just
What is it?
heads off into the mist somewhere.
Tuesday, I would have Tuesday morning. He said, I'm travelling to Hamburg. Any chance of a catch up? And I went, it's good. I said, London, so I'll either be in the car. And he said, great. Nothing.
He's done his duty though. He said, "Do you want to catch up?"
Yeah.
Actually, having the catch up is a different thing, right?
And I said to him, "Are you doing that? Are you doing big tomato, little tomato?" And he was like, "Huh?"
Ketchup.
What big tomato?
I feel
little
like
tomato? Ketchup.
I feel like you have this extra unknown qualification in dad jokes that just goes beyond my ability to immediately grasp. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get what's that. I don't get the connection.
Yeah.
Well, there sort of isn't one. That's why. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Perhaps I need to be a dad to get that. That's what it is.
Well,
Oh, your Ray says he'd prefer to be lucky than skillful.
oh, absolutely. I mean, you just look at some of, the in boxing and underdog, and you just, with the heavyweights, if you get hit, you're down. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah, some of them.
Swinging from the heavens, and somebody's.
It seems to matter how hard you emotionally take it. So once it's happened and you get up, you've your head's cleared. He's counted you back in. Some you can see it on their face. Some seem to deal with it better than others. Like, right, you got one in on us. Sort you out. You've had yours. I'm coming for it. And some of it seems to knock them going, I wasn't expecting that. How did he get that in? How did he get that in? They seem to get buried in their own head. And by then, I think you've lost. You've lost, right? If you end up in... And if it wasn't for being able to go to your corner at the end of a round where your team can reset you and set you straight and say, no, didn't look as bad as you thought. There's this and that. He's a bit weak on this and this. So if it wasn't for that, what happens if, you just fought until you dropped? There were no...
Yeah,
there weren't like 12 rounds. There was 2 or 3.
It's
It's
a really good point
much
because
longer.
Yeah, I got a bit of a pissing, and I went back to the corner, and the coach said to us, she said, "Look, Mark, come out again in the first 30 seconds. He's gonna go again at you." He said, "But get through the first 30 seconds. He's exhausted," and that's more or less what
Interesting.
happened.
Interesting. So he has this explosive energy. Tries to tire you out and tires himself out.
Yeah, it's
So
you
they were like
become,
an extra pair of eyes. They were like your periphery, right?
yeah,
Spotting stuff
yeah.
that you can't really see when you're in it.
Yeah, because exactly that.
Interesting.
When you're in the midst, you can't see, and he's watching exactly what's going on. So he's seen them, and then he's just going. Honestly, Mark, just cover up for the first 30 seconds, get it out, and you watch him. He's going to then start taking a step back because he's knackered. He start taking a step back, and then I start moving forward, and then
Right.
so listen to these guys. They know what they're talking about.
That's hell of a weakness, mine. Just pile it all in. Right, done. Uh, Ray says, so he delivers them dad jokes, especially the Chinese. What? What? I don't know.
He's on beef.
Ah, right. Right, he delivers, but he doesn't do chicken
Yeah,
or beef.
correct.
Aye. Aye.
There was a few months ago. I think he rang us up. Thought it was on the phone, and he said she's done it for the first time. I was like, he said she's something about, can we get delivery? And he phoned me up. He said, "Will you finish the set?" I finished it off on the phone for her.
But they don't do chicken or beef.
That's it. Yeah. So,
And of
but
course,
yeah,
of course, you'll have seen that those phone pranks on YouTube. Where
oh,
the guy from was it Lancashire or something rang up his local sort of Turkish pizzeria place. He went, "Oh, mate, do you deliver?" He says, "Yes, we deliver." "All right, can I have liver, bacon, onions?" "No, no, we don't do liver. We just said you deliver." Oh, brilliant,
it is.
brilliant. He had him
They
twice
like
with that.
put the ring restaurant, and then they connect it to an Indian restaurant, and they let them have a conversation. What? No, what would you like to order? Flipping
Oh, I'll have to
brilliant.
find some of those. I'll have to
Yeah,
find some of those.
find
There's a
some of
guy,
them
a
that just
comedian. There was a comedian, Dane Cook. Now, he's a bit
yeah.
controversial, right? Because I don't know, if you've seen him in person, he liked himself a lot, all right? But there were some bits of material that he's done that have had me on the floor because they were just stupid, right? And he over exaggerates things on purpose, but his timing was great, and the subjects he picked, like the one that's always stuck with me was he says, why is it when you go into a men's public toilets it's always wet? Why is everything wet? Is everyone pissing up the wall? He says, and the doors are always hanging off. And he just started going around the room. So what do people do? Is I need a piss, and just kick the door in, and it's just hanging off. He says, men just do that. I haven't seen anyone do that. And he ranted on about this. He did this whole 10-minute bit just on men's toilets, and I was on the floor. But it was the
Oh,
actions. But he had his own YouTube channel for a while, right, where he would just ring up companies and prank them, and pretending to be, because he had all these voices, pretending to be a woman, a bit like Phone Jackie, he did all these different voices of old people, young people, different accents, all of these things. It was brilliant. But then on his YouTube channel, he would act them out with Muppets, the Muppet puppets, and make them look kind of like you would expect the people to look on the end of the phone with their headset and sort of looking very posh and formal. And then he'd be doing this old grandmother's voice, so you just have this Muppet of this old grandmother wandering around the house, but they'd be doing stupid stuff. Things would be breaking, so you had to watch the video because there were jokes in that as well as listen to the thing. It was mint. But he hasn't done any for years, and a
you
contractor I
made
used
me
to work
think.
with
You made me
used to
think
watch
about
him all day, every day.
we went to a place called Charlie Robson's in North Shields on New Year's Day, and it was exactly as you described it. You know the trough where you go for a piss. You know the ones. The trough's just below your genital area. Yeah, that was piss, right? So when you had you basically weed straight onto the floor. It was brilliant.
It's one of those little sort of bleach cake things. Loads of those.
Yeah,
You're
just
trying to
like,
knock it. Try to knock it.
Just gone in the corner of the toilet and just weed straight on the
Aye.
urinal, but we still did it because it was like you were like drawn.
Aye. It's like it's nature, isn't it?
Yeah,
Peanut trough.
yeah. I mean that was a few years ago, but yeah.
That's the Geordiest sounding place on the planet, though.
No,
Charlie Robson. Charlie Robson.
I mean, I didn't even still going or not. Any idea?
I've heard of it.
No.
Haven't heard
Well,
of
you know,
Yeah.
you know where the train station is.
What in Shields?
Yeah.
Shields. Aye.
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 Yeah. So if you I remember came out the train station and look left, it's
Right. Well, my mates used to work there.
corner.
My mates used to work there. He had some very interesting stories. It was a very eventful place, especially at the weekend.
Yeah.
There was always some blue lights flashing outside there at some point.
Yeah, and
So it was very active.
it didn't involve my family.
All right. So you're known in sort of the Shields area.
Yeah, we were a little bit.
Slash Wall's End, Hadrian Road.
Literally, you couldn't go for a slash in Charlie Robson's.
Aye. Literally.
Yeah.
It'd be aye. So I knock out a couple of these.
You do a. I believe this is a corker lined up, so you do a couple of them.
All right. All right.
I've got my key one.
Go on. Because mine's. This is taking an age. This text file is just taking an age to. Oh, there we go. So.
Yeah.
Right, I'm ready.
Right. So, style of an advert. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Right.
Are you ready?
Aye.
It's like it's like just after watershed, 9 o'clock. Problems in the bedroom area. Your partner is like, I have a headache. I'm too tired. I don't have time. New wonder drug from the loose gas. Just one of these small pills in any orifice you like, and you'll be bones crack every morning. It's called Try Cock Again. From all good corner shops.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Happy birthday.
Ray says Charlie's still going piss strong.
Yeah, that's what we want to hear. The one who have been one of the terriblest pubs in Shields, but
Well, then I suppose it's it's a bit of it's part of the woodwork, isn't it? Part of the makeup of the place.
I swear, it's like maths though. As the pubs have closed over the last couple of years, the drinkers have got less and less place to go. So the Charlie's does all right, doesn't it? Because by default, they go there.
Aye. I think the Maggie Bank's been there forever.
I mean, the ones
forever. I've been
top end near the medical centre is up there. The two pubs on the top end, they're all gone now. I think.
There was one I used to walk past every day when I was going to work in South Shields. It was right on the corner when you go down the bank towards the ferry. My brother told me some stories about that place. It was.
I think
I think
that's
it's
still
shut now.
open.
It's all boarded up. It was bang on the
Right.
corner there, and then you went down the bank, and you had like Ladbrokes and whatnot down that street. And whatnot. That was, I can't remember what that was called. That was allegedly rather rough
There was
in there. I remember my
Garrett's
brother saying
Head.
he went in once.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I've got one for you. Look, I nearly lost my job as a roofer when I was caught masturbating on the first day. Luckily, my boss said I could wipe the slate clean.
Me.
Meh. Meh.
I can similar one.
Aye.
I tried to explain to my 4-year-old son accidentally poop your pants, but he's still making fun of me.
Nice. It's a nice twist. It's a nice twist. We found my uncle dead with a belt around his neck and a dildo up his bum. At the funeral, the vicar said he would be remembered for his charity work. He was wrong, obviously. It sounded better when Gary Delaney did it.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find the best way to describe my penis. I've been thinking long and hard.
Yeah.
That's good. It's another Delaney. I just burned 2,000 calories. That's the last time I put a cake in the oven before taking a nap.
Burnt 2,000 calories. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's this? I like this one. I regret
in my
my eyes, but that's hindsight.
Hindsight. Oh, hindsight's 2020. The Ballarat.
Ballarat, that's it.
That might be it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Ray's the font of knowledge. He's the font of knowledge. A couple of men broke into a chemist and stole all the Viagra. The police said to be on the lookout for two hardened criminals.
Yeah.
What does a perverted frog say? Rub it. Rub it.
Here's one for you, because you love you've been correct, don't you? And commas
Yep.
and all that.
Correct. Yeah. Punctuation.
Use or something. Yep. Something. So I'm so formal. I've never any argy bargy, or if I were Argentina, Bargentina.
Nice. Nice. I like that. That's good. That's good because you're like, well, nobody really knows where that comes from, do they? Argy bargy, yeah. Argentina, Bargentina, yeah. Yeah. Someone's probably said that on Twitter. Why did the sperm cross the road? Because I put the wrong socks on this morning.
Love that.
Yeah.
Takes a walk.
Yeah. Does anyone do? I mean, does anyone use a sock? Really? I don't get it. Well, somebody must, because there's jokes about it. Why can't you hear a pterodactyl in the bathroom? Because it has a silent P. Is it spelled with a... Yeah. Yeah. I thought this one tested that one will test your dyslexia. Though. Does he know? He'll have a P at the front. He must have seen it. Aye.
Yeah.
I've been reading a horror story in Braille. Something bad's gonna happen. I can feel it.
I like that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, laughed out loud when I read that. I thought, oh, that's going in. It's going in the book. You know? Right.
Ice cream sundae.
Aye. 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 I taught my hen to count her own eggs. She's a brilliant mathematician. tickled me more than it should when I read it. Yeah. She's a brilliant math chicken. Love it. Why do bees always have sticky hair?
Go on,
You
say
know?
it again.
Why do bees always have sticky hair? Because they use honeycombs.
What do you call a spaghetti in disguise?
Don't know.
We know you are. It's an impasse.
That was it. That was it. I read that one earlier. Impasta. What do you call an elephant that doesn't matter? An irrelevant.
Yeah.
Irrelevant.
Let's keep its clothes
I know. And a trunk.
in the trunk.
Aye. Classic.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have laughed as much as I did at this one, but I thought it's clever. I like it. I own the world's worst thesaurus. It's not only is it awful, it's awful. Can't think of another word for awful though. That's lush. That's simple. It's simple, cheap, effective.
Yeah, exactly. This one is very similar. An opener that doesn't work.
Don't know.
A card
Hammer?
opener.
Can't know. Nice. Oh, you like this one. Two dyslexics walk into a bra. That's... Yeah, I try to find some autism jokes, but they're all basically insults about being special. There's nothing about like autism itself, so I thought I'll have to write some. But I found a dyslexic joke.
Yeah.
What's that?
How would you make?
Don't know.
Put.
Oh my god. It's you all over that joke, isn't it? It's you all over that.
I mean, yeah. I've been. And the last time we did, that was the because we pass a buffalo farm, and you published that one, didn't you?
Yeah, the bison joke. Aye. Bye. Bison.
Get it
Every time. Yeah, bison.
Aye, because they've got them. We used to have them,
I was
apparently, and we've been reintroducing them over here. We used to have them.
Is that true?
Buffalo is from one continent, and a bison is from a different continent.
Do you know that?
I think I looked it up.
I've ever asked.
I didn't realise that from two different continents.
But like polar bears and penguins? You think that they're in the same place and they're not?
I reckon I could have fun with this joke. What kind of bug?
Don't know.
A cockroach.
I like
But
it.
I would easily get that.
Cockroach.
Easily.
Aye.
Cockroach. Yeah.
I had to close my chicken dating service. I was struggling to make ends meet. Struggling to make ends meet. What do you call a fat psychic? A fortune teller.
I don't get that one.
Fortune.
Oh, fortune.
Fortunes.
Fortune teller. Yeah.
Fortune teller, yeah. What kind of bees produce milk? Boobies.
Mum and bees. Damn. Richie.
Yeah. Oh, this one. I don't know why I laughed for quite as long as I did, but I had to write it down. What's the stinkiest planet?
Uranus.
Jupiter.
Oh, nah.
I just thought, how childish is that? It's brilliant. Loved it. So
The fact that,
I've got
the
to
fact that
stick with that.
we've met in a poop joke.
Aye. Jupiter.
Yeah.
Oh, I still thinking to myself 5 minutes later, just having a go, Jupiter. It's brilliant. Gonna have to do that one. I'm gonna have to do it. How do you organise a space party? You plan it.
Planet. Ah.
You
got
plan
it.
it.
Yeah.
Ah. You got more? I've got a
Not
few more.
really, yeah. Go on, keep going. I've got some.
A cheese factory exploded in France. Debris was everywhere.
I like that one. Yeah.
Why do pregnant horses run faster than other horses? Because they have 2 horsepower.
Ah.
Car joke there. Car joke. The petrol heads.
Here,
What's a
here's
scientist's
horse.
favourite chewing gum? Yeah?
Go on then.
An experiment.
Favourite is chewing gum.
Experiment.
Experiment.
Yeah. Experiment.
Experiment. That's,
Experiment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be chewing gum flavour, really, shouldn't it? But aye.
why did
I've got two.
Why,
I've got
what
two
did
more.
one horse?
One
I-
horse say to the other. Because
Use
Dunno.
that one. You must hang out with me.
Huh?
What did one horse say to the other? You must. Mustang.
Mustang. Oh my. Dear me, that. It's all in how quick you say that. What is it? I was like Mustang.
Yeah.
What? Oh, right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. What do you call a magician who's lost their magic? Ian.
Ian.
Ian. Yeah. Magic.
So somebody
Ian.
would deck of
cards
cards.
together. You wouldn't.
What do you call a dinosaur that asks a lot of deep questions? A velociraptor.
Oh. Velociraptor.
Velociraptor.
Yes.
Yep.
Another
Pub joke.
The past, the present, and the future walked into a bar.
Oh, that's a classic, isn't it? That's a classic. Classic. Any more for any more?
Wrong.
Oh, what's about it? Right.
I didn't find that.
Right. Aye.
Right.
I get it. I get it though. So
Yep.
I'm gonna be
How we
posting.
done?
I'm gonna be posting some Snowdonia pictures of the travelling quote bag. I got them off you the other day. Part 2 of our episode for this week comes out shortly.
I'm up to date.
Because that was more.
You left it on a
more about the
cliffhanger,
work
didn't you?
bit. I did. deliberately left it on an important
Yeah.
question. I thought, ooh, there's a good place to cut it. You're going to have to come back and find out the answer on Thursday. And I think some of the questions we got through were pretty good,
tell you
and
what.
we had a pretty heavy focus on the work and the extent of things in the second half. It was good. The first half, I enjoyed it. The first half.
I listened to ours, and then I was near a guest on who's wrote a couple of books, PhD diagnosis, that in Europe, 1% of people diagnosed with ADHD. In America, it's 10%.
Whoa!
Which
Now,
yeah,
yeah, is that personality type related?
well, it just what they become too simple in America to diagnose and pop the.
Ooh, that is. We say that a lot over here. That you go to the doctor, he gives you a prescription off your pop, right? And it's just a place to get like pills to sort you out. And if it persists, come back, and then in 6 months you'll have a
Yeah.
scan. Whereas over there, you go to a doctor over there, and you can have a scan at the doctor's. You know, they've got like an MRI, or they'll do like I don't know, an electrocardiogram or something. You know, they can do all sorts of tests right then and there. So you can be run through the process and diagnosed pretty much, unless it's something a bit more niche. You can pretty much be diagnosed that day, right? And here, obviously, it's not. And you see them on the telly saying, "Oh, you know, this is all doctors are now, are just dispensaries." Like, well, that's not necessarily. I've seen that experience. I'm not necessarily sure if it fits with my experience. But then when you said America, I wondered whether I was just seeing that or whether that's true. But because I've seen a few American commentators say, "Oh, it's just pills all out of the shop." And have you seen how many celebrities have been diagnosed with ADHD lately?
Yeah, I'm
Like, there's been an absolute run of them.
Yeah, he was almost saying that it's just habit forming, and they need to be very careful.
This is the thing about the DSM, the diagnostic manual that they use for neurological and psychological conditions. That they are notoriously hard to define because we don't understand the brain well enough, right? We don't understand how things connect necessarily. We have we have a working knowledge of how this stuff works, but we don't really know. Not enough to interfere with it, change the path of something, or fix it, or truly kind of go, well, this is how severe that is. All we can do is run you through a battery of tests, compare you with a standardized sample, and go, well, this is how far off you are from this standardized sample or this control group versus this, and trying to figure out what normal looks like, what the bell curve is. But it seems there's still too much of that down to interpretation, and I'm doubtful. It seems ADHD is really prevalent. Like, it's in the news all the time. Many people are saying, "Oh, I've just been diagnosed." I'm like, hold on. Like, I'm on the one camp. I'm like, it's great. We're finding this stuff. We're finding it much earlier, and some people later in life. And I know what it was like for me to find out something that explains a piece of you. Is such a key piece of it. It was life changing for me, and helped me move on and construct better ways of fitting in, if you like, for a better way of putting it. So I can come across far more, normal, acceptable, right? It was great, and I fully understood why I was doing it. But it's like when I bumped into one of my old teachers from the first school. This was years ago. I said, "How are you doing?" He said, "Oh, it's great." Got talking about the computers and this and that. He said, "Oh, does it change much?" He says, "Well, do you know what's really changed? Is the medical cupboard. Every kid's been given an inhaler these days and diagnosed with asthma." He said, "And I'm convinced it's not asthma because it only seems to affect, this or that." He says, "That's not consistent." He said, "But you should see how many of the kids' inhalers I've got in. stored away in the classroom medical cabinet, in like a spare one in case they forget to bring one or it runs out. I've got a spare one in the thing that fits them. It just seems like they're just being diagnosed. Oh, well, your breathing's a bit this, so there's a little squirty thing that'll sort you out. That seems like. Do you know GPs can do between 8 and 12 years? 8 and 12 years, and all they do is sit in there. Yeah, and command, like a 6-figure salary, 100 odd grand, even though GP surgeries are private businesses that effectively invoice the NHS as a private business, and they are not employees of the NHS. It's GPs aren't in the public sector technically, right? But they do anything between 8 and 12 years, and then they sit in a room on a chair diagnosing gout and then growing toenails, and do you know what I mean, and giving out pills, and they've paid fortunes for that, and then we pay a fair bit of money into their pensions and this and that, and then some of them quit early because there was a cap. There's a cap on pensions, or there isn't anymore, but there was. You could only have £1 million in your pension, and after that you start getting penalised with tax. So then they retire because financially it was better. I'm like, how many people do you know end up with £1 million in their pension fund, even by the time they're at retirement age, let alone early, like 50s? Who's got £1 million in there? Especially after spending 8 to 12 years in university. So you weren't exactly earning, right? You were running at a loss, paying £9,000 a year for your tuition fees, and then having to try and pick up this temporary job, and then of course you're paying for rental of a place and all of your books and your equipment and whatever else, working yourself to the bones. It's not like you are earning fortunes for the first 8 to 10 years either. So you've actually managed to, and especially if you've run out of pension room by the time you hit 50, then you've effectively had 20 years of earning, and even then you don't earn your full rate for the first, is it 7 years or something, before you come off sort of the junior doctor rates and whatnot and move up. I don't know. I can't see how it's a fulfilling job. If you spend 12 years learning, then you're going to be sat in an office dishing out pills, prescriptions, rather than being in an ER, stitching people back together and diagnosing these. I mean, this is what I wanted to do. Right, was a bit like, have you ever watched House?
Yeah, it's not an episode.
Well, you know how he's basically a diagnostician, right? He diagnoses rare things. Right,
that bloke? What's the British bloke? What's he called?
Hugh Laurie.
That's it. Yeah.
Hugh Laurie. So he's basically in pathology, but in rare diseases and whatnot. I thought this is probably where I would have ended up, is seeing patterns and diagnosing things. I'd love to have done that, because I love fixing and diagnosing problems. I've done the same technically when we've worked together, but I've done it with programming languages, PCs, and networks, and applications, and problems in a warehouse, rather than figuring out why someone's leg's swollen and it turns out it's not this, it's not this, it's not this, it's not this. But there's this pattern of things, and then just having a library of stuff in my head that helps diagnose that kind of thing. That's where I wanted to be. So, well, what is that an interesting job? It doesn't sound like it. Not when you see the people on Talk TV and that, and the way they talk about them. What doesn't? It sounds like you're either, Harley Street diagnosing some pretty difficult things, or you're just in a room with a computer system that keeps breaking, and you've got to type everything in. Spend most of your day typing notes.
No.
Computer says no. Maybe I've boiled this stuff down a little bit too simple, but what's that say? Ray says, when you only know 30% of the brain, you can't sort out 100% of the problem. That's an interesting way to phrase it, isn't it? No, it's a fair point. I see his point. If we haven't mapped the whole thing, how it works and where consciousness comes from and all of that, how can we figure out the things that break it? Like, how can you understand how schizophrenia works? Like, fully works, or how it even develops in later life?
It's like a tumor. If you a scan of the brain, you'll find the tumor, won't you? But you can't do a scan and find HD. That's what this guy was
Yes.
saying.
Yes, because there was a doctor. Christ, this must have been a couple of decades ago now. Said that there was a medical facility offering full body scans. Right, come in, have your full body scan. It was a way of getting revenue in, right? We'll find it. We'll find it before it becomes a problem. That was kind of the advert, right? We'll find it before it becomes an issue. And one of these doctors was basically saying, look, if you scan someone from tip to toe on the inside, you will definitely find something, because everybody has some form of tumour of some kind. But it's usually the immune system takes care of it. Your cells produce errors on a regular basis, but not so you'd notice, because your body is usually quite efficient at killing. This is why immunotherapy's been a big thing in cancer treatment. Is normally your body kills these cells off and gets rid of them, and when it doesn't, it for whatever reason it balloons out of control, right? So, and I've probably oversimplified that, but you know what I mean. He was right though. You'll find a little something, you'll find a little white dot somewhere that would never have bothered you and probably would have went away on its own. So if you do a full body scan, you're just going to flood the place with people. So, well, that was probably the point. Doing all of these elective procedures to remove all these little lumps and bumps and all these other things that probably would have went away on their own, or would have stayed the size they are. Nothing would have happened. And where do you stop? Where do you stop? But you're right. We don't know that about the brain. There's no. Have you seen that thing in the news where there's they're miserable about AI in the news, absolutely miserable. Oh, it's gonna do stuff and blow things up and put things in our bum and stuff like that. It's horrible, right? And it's well, no. If you truly look at what AI is capable of at the minute, it's not a lot. It's not a lot. It can probably do at best. It could write a book and draw you a nice picture that looks like somebody you know. At worst, you would ask it to draw you a picture of a biscuit and you'd end up with a photo of a balloon. You know what I mean? So the fact that it can draw anything is a marvel. And that I know that's escalating, but there was a story on the news, right? It's been in the papers this week of a guy who uses AI to walk again.
I saw that.
And what they've done, they've basically bridged the gap where his spine was broken, or where the connection is severed. And they're taking the signal, because your brain still sends them, they just don't go anywhere. So they've got a device that picks this stuff up, skips the gap, transmits it to a receiver that's on the other side and sends it to his legs, but using AI to try and interpret what those signals are, where they're supposed to go, which nerves it's meant to go to. Because obviously, can you imagine trying to reconnect all the nerves in your spine? So, well, this one goes to this one, this one goes. I mean, there's loads of them, right? So you can imagine. So they went, well, we'll connect a bunch of stuff up, like enough to make things move, and then we'll just have to train it, which is what AI is. It's just a bit of logic sitting on top of a database of a predetermined or a constantly growing size. So the more stuff you put in it, technically the cleverer it gets. So you have to train it over time, and what you train it matters, which is kind of my point about AI, that it only becomes evil if the things you put in it send it in that direction. So if we are an inherently evil race, then we'll create an inherently evil AI because it'll pick up on that. Much like a kid would in a home. If you've got evil parents, they have a 50-50 chance of going the same way, right? So this remarkable. He can walk. Yes, he's got a frame, but he can move his own legs, even though he's still technically paralyzed, like medically paralyzed. There he is, standing up, walking with this backpack on. I mean, it's massive. But like anything, everything starts big and then we miniaturize the technology, right? And eventually you'll just be able to wear this tie around your neck or something, or you'll be able to put a certain hat on and all of a sudden your legs work.
So
Well, I didn't take your cap off, man.
We just need a head.
Well, it's leading towards cybernetics, isn't it? Because eventually you're just going to be able to take them legs off altogether, and just put new ones on and say, well, we'll skip the whole bioengineering where you can control your existing legs. We'll just give you new legs. Oh, we'll put a new spine in. There you go. We'll just replace the bits. There's already people doing that, biohackers, going in, putting little chips and stuff. And one guy's put this chip and pin card in his palm. He says that's what everybody will be doing it. Everybody will be doing it eventually. So he's been walking into shops and just putting his hand over the top of the card reader and paying for his stuff. I'm like, well, they might accidentally pay for something. I mean, that's going to be a bit of a bugger in the airport as well, isn't it? I don't know. I said, everybody's going to be doing it. I'm not sure I would. Not sure. I like the fact that I can choose to take it out of the house or not. That way you've always got it with you. If I don't need it, or if I feel that I might lose it because I'm going to a fun park, I might leave my wallet in the house. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've always got it with you. I know you'll not lose it. You'll not lose it because it's in your hand. But I still don't trust these. Because the limit for tapping your card's gone up to over 100 quid. Oh, it's gone up to 100 quid. I'm like, what's stopping someone putting a 3G SIM card on one of those card readers, setting up a merchant account, which is pretty easy these days, with some payment company or payment processor, and then just walking around the town with it in your bag and just, stand next to a bunch of people and see if it reads that card, because you don't have to be super close for it to work, especially if you adapt it yourself. You can just wander around, just swiping people's cards for a bit of cash. I'm like, is that possible? So we're upping it to 100 quid. I'm like, I was uncomfortable with it being a tenner or 30 quid to begin with. I didn't even switch it on when you had the option. I didn't even switch it on. Now we don't have the option, but I didn't even switch it on when it first came out. Worry the hell out of us. I don't know. Anyway, that's my techno rant over.
That's it. That's.
Well,
we're back.
Yes,
next
so
Sunday.
Yes, so this is why we thought we'd do a live.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be away, so we wouldn't have time to sort of sit down, record, plan another episode, all of that. So there'll be a bit of a delay, perhaps, on the next one. Maybe he's out by the Tuesday, but because we'll record it Sunday, we'll work out the topic and all of that.
Do half and half again, though.
Yeah, that's worked out well for the editing for me as well. When I've been in between work, I can just sort of go all the way through, cut it, and I leave the next bit for the next day or the Wednesday and quickly knock that out. And it helps me not have to cut so much out or to shrink stuff down to get it into, like a more of a digestible episode. Because I remember being asked how long are your episodes, and I was like, do you know what? Some of them are an hour, some like that. And it sometimes is off-putting when they go, ooh, an hour and a half. Not watching that. I'll have to come back to it, but then they might not. And they might not, whereas doing it half and half seems to have been good so far, and people look forward to the Thursday one. I had some good feedback, actually, about part one. I was talking about being at Grace House, doing the charity stuff. I had some nice compliments via WhatsApp. I wondered about how good that was, how interesting it was, and sort of how I sounded about it. I was speaking with Anne again this week, and she was lining something else up where because she's in this network with other business owners, small business owners, and she helps them out and whatnot, but they all help each other out, right? And she was telling a guy that does these different holistic therapies, either sound and smell and different senses and massages and aromatherapy and whatnot. He's got this thing called a sound bath. And I was having to chat to her about it. I says, I think that name's a bit unfortunate. Because when you call it a sound bath, people are going to sort of roll their eyes and go, oh, it's one of them. I said, but if it's really useful though, because she tried it, if it's really useful, then shouldn't it have a couple of different names you can use for it, because then you know it's making people roll their eyes if it sounds like that. You know, if it sounds a bit new age. And she spoke to me about it anyway, right? And said what it was about. I was like, I said, well, for me, certainly from what I've seen with people with autism in general, sound, senses in general, are actually very important. But sound is can be very influential. It can change my mood very quickly. Have the right song on in the background, and I'm sort of wandering around properly stressed about something. If I can get myself to go onto YouTube and just flip a bit of dance music on, or trance music or something, one of my favourite singers, something like that, the calming effect it has is it distracts me. It makes me think about the song and the patterns inside the song, and before I know it, I've forgotten I was in a felt to begin with. So he's got this sound bath technique, and he's got different ones for different types of things. And they got talking about me going down to Grace's house and chatting about the discoveries I've made, techniques, tolerances, blah blah. And he's asked, would I be interested in maybe collaborating on a sound bath geared towards those with autism? You know, using me as a guinea pig in a way, but also to give him information to design it with. And I immediately thought of two ways of doing it, and the two things that are certainly most important for me when it comes to sound. You either need to make the sound pleasant enough. I can't think of the right word for it, but it either needs to make me completely disengage and wander off to chill out, or it needs to be a very engaging sound with lots of patterns that make me chill out because I'm trying to pull the patterns apart and I get occupied with what I'm hearing. So it either so one needs to be a bit of an antidote to sort of de-stress me because it makes my mind wander, and I sit looking out the window to these nice tunes and it just, has that calming effect. Or you need a very engaging, multi-layered tune that gets you in that sort of rabbit hole ADHD type tunnel where you start listening to this and pulling this apart and pulling this apart. And before you know it, you've pulled apart all these different instruments and sounds and loops and whatnot. So she said, would you be interested? I said, look, if we can set the expectations of what the end goal is, what that looks like, what he wants to do with it, and all of that, and come up with some sort of, how are we going to run this project? What's the end goal? What's in it for me and you at the end? We can just figure out what that is. Yeah, I'm golden. As long as my expectations are set. Yeah, let's have a go at it. Because it'd be a bit like using autism to help with autism. So if I can use, again, what I've learned and understand about how my stuff works, if I can use that to create a program with him that he then advertises out and has kids and adults with autism coming to see him, and it genuinely chills them and sorts them out like a massage with sound, that's a good thing, right? It's a good thing. So I went, let's do it. So I set up an appointment. Brilliant. Good. If I can head off doing a bunch of autism-based coaching, that'd be me set. I'd enjoy that. Even if it means moving out of the technical stuff, and I'm basically just running websites and updating and doing the image work and social media bits and pieces on the side, but not into the data warehousing and heavy technical gubbins. If I've got the autism-based consulting bits on the side, the coaching and the working on those sorts of projects, that'd be great. Truly helping some people and trying to, like you say, pay this forward.
Yeah.
Event, and leave a lasting something that might advance knowledge on that in some way, and somebody else picks it up and does something else with it. Be great. So that was a nice little a nice little chat, a nice little add-on I had with Anne this week. She's good at that though, connecting people with. I mean, that's random, right? That's not just a project you just sort of go, oh yeah, that's normal. No, it's just where'd that come from? Just a random chat you had with the guy that does these therapies. So, yeah, that would never have happened, right? I would have had to leave the house for me to discover that on my own, right? But I just thought it's very niche. But I'm sort of looking forward to the idea. I want to see what that's like. I love playing with sounds. Great. So,
Close it up.
Well, you're off to Paris, so that means we'll have some more. We'll continue the hacky travels. Gets a fair bit of engagement, that, when you look at the stats. Bit of fun. Mind you, I'm going to have to come up with all these new sayings, these new phrases to put on. I thought you'd like the spark. The spark about the evolution, not revolution. Begins with a spark. I thought, ooh, it's one of your favourite sayings, that, isn't it? Evolution, not revolution. Chuffed with that. I'm going to post that. I was quite pleased with myself. Quite proud of that. So there'll be more of them. More of those posts. More of that. One thing that is really helpful is the like button. Click on the like button. Click and follow and subscribe. Get us into the algorithms so YouTube knows that you liked what you saw. And gets us visible. There's been more and more people doing that, so that's great. I'm going to keep mentioning it though, but it is the best way to help us as a channel. And then probably going to see you. It's going to be the Tuesday by the time we get that out, maybe.
Yeah.
It'll be a race. But it'll be Sunday afternoon by the time we record it. And we'll let you know what that is closer to the time. But meantime, there'll be a ton of little posts on Facebook to keep you entertained and informed. A few bits coming up. But until then, thanks for watching, listening, and take care.